third day of violence erupted in France after a teenager was fatally shot dead by a police official. The spiraling violence is posing a challenge for President Emmanuel Macron. Despite the French president's appeal for calm, riots were witnessed in major French cities on Thursday as well. The number of police personnel deployed has now increased to 40,000. This is 4 times the number deployed on Wednesday. French authorities expect the situation to get worse in the coming days. According to country's interior minister, about 667 people have been arrested so far for igniting violence. Amid the ongoing unrest, President Macron has called his cabinet members for a second crisis meeting on Friday. The situation has gotten so dire that French President Emmanuel Macron had to leave the EU summit in Brussels early to return to France. As we told you, Paris witnessed 3 nights of unrest over the police shooting of a teenager that took place this week. Macron cancelled a media conference scheduled for the second and last day of the summit to go back to Paris. Violence in France is reaching a tipping point after police shot dead a teenager. Days after Russia reportedly bombed a Ukrainian restaurant, the country has issued a clarification on the strike on Thursday. Russian Defense Ministry made an official statement claiming that it killed over 50 military officers and 2 of Ukraine's generals. The statement is in stark contrast to Ukraine's accusation that 12 civilians were killed in the Russian strike, which included 3 children. Kyiv officials also said that over 60 were injured in a bombing that targeted a busy restaurant in the country's eastern city of Kramatorsk. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said that Moscow will emerge from the aftermath of the Wagner mutiny. Lavrov said that the recent armed insurrection led by the Wagner mercenary group made Russia stronger than it was before. Now, this statement came after the mercenary group marched on the capital just last week to challenge the country's military leadership. The Wagner revolt posed the most serious threat to President Vladimir Putin's decades-long rule in Russia. Ukraine conducted a safety drill near the Russian-occupied Zaporizhzhia nuclear power station. Kyiv accused Russia this month of planning a terrorist attack at the plant involving the release of radiation. Conversely, Russia denied the accusation. That governor of Zaporizhzhia region also said that the drills is to prepare for if there was an emergency situation at the plant. The Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant is Europe's largest. It has been occupied by Russia since March last year. Swedish climate activist Greta Thunberg visited Kyiv to draw attention to environmental damage caused by the war in Ukraine. She also criticized the world's response to the June 6th collapse of the vast hydroelectric Kakhovka dam. Thunberg also was welcomed by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky along with an international working group on the environmental damage Russia has caused in Ukraine. The annual inflation Germany has hit 6.4% in June, according to data released by the country's Federal Statistics Office. Statistics show that Germany's inflation rate in June picked up after declining for 3 consecutive months. Food price hikes remain the biggest driver of inflation in the month, rising 13.7% from May. Analysts believe that the number of bankruptcies will continue to rise as high energy and material prices have imposed a huge cost burden on German companies. Russia has issued warnings in the United Nations Security Council that weapons transferred to Ukraine from West amid the ongoing conflict could fall into the wrong hands. Moscow's disarmament representative at the UNSC has listed diversion risk assessments to prevent weapons from being smuggled or being used for inciting unrest. On the other hand, Ukraine has been pushing for reforms in the domestic defense industry to modernize local arms producers. Kyiv aims to cooperate closer with their Western partners and increase supplies to the front. After the Quran burning incident, Swedish Prime Minister has urged calm and reflection. Earlier this week, people burned the Quran outside a Stockholm mosque, which sparked outrage and condemnation. Swedish police granted him a permit in line with free speech protections that the Swedish law allows. Later, authorities opened an investigation over agitation against an ethnic group. Ukrainian prosecutors on Friday charged a Russian politician and two suspected Ukrainian collaborators with war crimes over the alleged deportation of dozens of orphans from Kherson. Ukraine claims that more than 19,000 children have been illegally transferred to Russia or Russian-held territories. However, Kremlin has repeatedly denied allegations that Russia had violated children's rights in Ukraine. The International Monetary Fund has reached a staff-level pact with Pakistan worth $3 billion. It was a long-awaited decision by the cash-strapped nation, which is currently at the brink of an economic collapse. Now, this comes after an 8-month delay, and it does offer some respite to Pakistan, which is battling an acute balance of payments crisis. Pakistan's central bank has raised the benchmark interest rate by 22% during an emergency meeting earlier this week. Pakistan also revised its budget for the fiscal year in a bid to rescue the IMF program. At least 2 people have been killed in India's northeastern state of Manipur after a firing incident late on Thursday night. The killings triggered a protest by the locals, which were later dispersed by armed forces. Police have yet to confirm the identities of the victims. Manipur has experienced widespread violence since May 3rd, following protests by indigenous communities demanding special economic quotas for availing special government benefits. Japan's foreign minister said that the International Atomic Energy Agency's director is set to visit Japan in the first week of July to inspect the Fukushima nuclear power plant. Japan plans to release the water from Fukushima plant, which was destroyed during the 2011 nuclear disaster triggered by an earthquake and a tsunami. The water was mainly used to cool reactors in the aftermath of the disaster. The issue has raised concerns in South Korea as fishermen and locals fear of health dangers due to the release of the nuclear water in the Pacific Ocean. Denmark has started an online police division to track crimes on the internet. The online police unit is patrolling platforms such as Twitch, Discord, Instagram, Facebook and TikTok. The police is letting their presence be known to users with the aim of making the internet a safer place for both children and adults. The primary targets are sexual predators and economic criminals. Over 2,000 people suffered heat stress during the Hajj pilgrimage after temperatures soared to 48 degrees Celsius. As per Saudi officials, about 1,700 heat stress cases were recorded on Thursday itself. The Saudi Health Ministry urged the pilgrims to stay out of the sun and drink plenty of water. The officials did not provide a death toll, but at least 230 people mainly from Indonesia, died during the pilgrimage. Over 1.8 million Muslim worshippers performed the days-long Hajj, mostly held outdoors at the height of the Saudi desert summer. Many elderly were among the pilgrims after a COVID-era maximum age limit was scrapped. With songs and dances, drone shows and fireworks, Turkmenistan inaugurated a new city called Arkada. The $5 billion smart city is built in honor of former strongman leader Gurbanguly Berdimuhamedov. Officials are calling Arkada as a city of the future, as green technologies were used in its construction. At the center of the city is a 43-meter statue of the former leader. His son took up the presidency of Turkmenistan in 2022. In today's business news, FOXCONN, the world's largest contract electronic maker, has received approval from Vietnam to invest about $246 million in 2 new projects. The investments will focus on manufacturing and assembling telecom and electric vehicle parts. One project involves a $200 million factory for producing EV chargers and components set to begin production in January of 2025. And the other project, worth $46 million, will produce electronics and telecommunication components starting in October of 2024. These developments will further boost FOXCONN's total investments in Vietnam to approximately $3 billion. Vietnam has emerged as a beneficiary of the tensions between the United States and China. Now, China's factory activity has declined for the 3rd consecutive month in June, signaling deepening weakness across various sectors. Official surveys show that demand, both at home and abroad, is faltering, putting pressure on the authorities to bolster growth. The Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index fell to 49, below the 50-point mark that separates expansion from contraction. The services sector also recorded its weakest reading since COVID curbs were lifted, indicating a slowdown in activity. Analysts are downgrading growth forecasts for the year, calling for more support measures to achieve annual targets. The government has pledged to promote a sustained economic recovery, but specific policies have yet to be unveiled. Mergers and acquisitions activity worldwide experienced a 36% drop in the second quarter of 2023 compared to the previous year. But experts remain optimistic about a gradual recovery. The uncertainty surrounding the global market and concerns over high interest rates and the US debt ceiling standoff have impacted deal makers' confidence. However, there are signs of improvement now, with mergers and acquisitions volumes increasing for the first quarter of 2023. Investment bankers and lawyers predict a rise in strategic activity as companies seek to grow organically. While the private equity business faces challenges, experts believe that the M&A market still holds opportunities. Now, at least 100 people have died over the past 2 weeks in Mexico due to heat-related causes. North Mexico is gripped by a prolonged sweltering heat wave which has pushed temperatures to peaks of more than 38 degrees Celsius, with wind chill above 40 degrees. Local authorities have organized teams of paramedics to attend to rescue suffering from heat stroke on the streets or in their homes. Mexico has recorded record high temperatures. For more than 10 days, temperatures have exceeded 45 degrees Celsius in some parts. A group of Spanish archaeologists have made detailed diagrams of a 2,500-year-old shipwreck to work out how to recover it before it gets destroyed by storm. The ship, which is believed to be over 2,000 years old, was discovered in the Spanish region of Murcia. 9 technicians from the University of Valencia underwent 560 hours of scuba diving in June to record all the cracks and the fissures in the ship. Later this year, the experts will recommend how to protect and retrieve the wreck, possibly as early as next summer. South California is fighting mosquitoes with the help of drones in the environmentally sensitive areas. Recent rains in Southern California led to a huge spike in mosquitoes and the diseases spread by them. Officials in Orange County are employing the less invasive methods such as drones in the marshlands, as it is home to endangered and threatened species. As 5G is still spreading its wings across the globe, major Chinese telecom operators have already started working on 6G network facilities. China Mobile, China Telecom and China UNICOM were among the major players at the ongoing Mobile World Congress in Shanghai. The event opened with more than 300 global mobile manufacturers, operators and vendors. China Mobile is the first operator to start the research on the 6G technology. It has set up a separate exhibition area at this year's MWC, showcasing its progress in 6G, along with several forums discussing relevant topics. Reportedly, Amazon rewards its online merchants who use its logistics services and punishes those who don't. The potential lawsuit by the US FTC would be among several other actions taken against Amazon by the Biden administration. Such moves are intended to protect consumers and increase competition in a market that's dominated by big tech firms. Prior to this, the US FTC accused Amazon of enrolling millions into its paid subscription Prime service, making it harder for the customers to cancel the service. The agency's antitrust case has been in the works for a long time now. Amazon received the first FTC notice back in 2019.